Hi guys, my name is Tanya and this is my review of Our Own Private Universe by Talley. I read this on Kindle and it was released on the 31st of January 2017. This story takes place on a summer youth group mission trip to a small Mexican town where 15-year-old Aki Hunter sets out to prove her theory that she only has one shot at living an interesting life. Aki knows that she is bisexual and the only other person in her life that knows is her best friend Laurie, and so far she's only dated guys, so the events of this book are really set into motion when she meets the adorable Krista. I wouldn't call this the most amazing or perfect book that I've ever read, but it did have some really good points, so I'm going to get down to those now. Firstly, this book is really great for sex positivity. I'm pretty sure that I must have come across a female-female sex scene in a book somewhere before, but I've definitely never read anything that was this explicit or intimately focused. It also acts as a reminder that protection does exist for non-penetrative sex, but it turns what could be an awkward lecture about safe sex into a funny little anecdote about not wanting to get caught researching these things and how embarrassing it can be to go to clinics, but ultimately shows that all these things are okay and good. Secondly, I thought that Aki's narrative had some really positive things to say about bisexuality, when in society a lot of the time you see people saying, oh, if you're a girl dating a girl you have to be a lesbian, or if you're dating a guy you're straight, there is no in between, and that's wrong. And Aki's voice shows that it is okay to doubt yourself. Through the course of this novel she goes through, I'm with a girl at the moment, does that mean that I'm gay? Or am I still bisexual? Will I ever date a guy again? And although she doubts herself at points, she ultimately comes to the conclusion that yes, she is bisexual and that is the way she is happy identifying for now, and maybe that could change, which also recognises that we can be more fluid and that our definitions of ourselves can change. And towards the end there are some discussions about pansexuality and differing romantic orientations as well. Although the main focus in this story is Aki's bisexuality, she is also African American, and I think it's really cool seeing characters that have more than one trait that tend to get thrown around and into novels to increase diversity, existing without having to make political statements all the time. Although this story takes place in a church-related setting, it doesn't go massively into the God side of things. However, the type of church in which this story is set gives the teenagers a chance to talk about politics in actually quite a deep and meaningful manner, and this is shown in such a positive way and is really accepted by the group as a whole. It actually became a really large part of the plot that I enjoyed a great deal. I think it's really important that it showed teenagers interacting with politics and that not being uncool or shameful or anything, and in our current political climate it was just a really good thing to see. In terms of coming out, whilst we do see a character come out to her family in this novel and it's accepted in a really positive light, there's also a situation where it could be damaging or dangerous for a character to come out to their family, so they don't. This is backed up by other characters that know about their family situation, and although there is some arguing about it, it is ultimately accepted. Although this isn't the happiest situation, I think it is important that this narrative shows that it is okay not to come out if you don't feel able, and that coming out isn't the be-all and end-all. There is a spectrum of narrative in between all of these different realizations about yourself. So my main problem with this book was Aki's pretentious theory thing about her interesting life. So it proclaims in the blurb that Aki has a theory about sex, but it's not that sort of theory. It's a theory about how she only has one shot at living an interesting life. And this is mentioned briefly in the book, but it never gets fleshed out into anything more or remotely substantial. So you never end up being quite sure if it's about her future as a whole or if it's literally just about having sex with a girl. And it didn't really seem to need it at all. Towards the beginning of the book, Aki and Laurie make a pact, and that actually has a lot more to do with driving the plot forward than the theory ever does. So I never quite got why these two things were floating around together when one of them clearly had a lot more to do with the novel than the one that got focused on. I don't know why it annoyed me so much. It just had a lot of pretension and didn't really go anywhere. And I just think that life is always changing, and thinking that you only get one shot at ever being interesting is really dumb. And whilst the relationship in this novel had lots of positive things to bring out, in order to do this Talley brought the relationship about very quickly. At the beginning of the book it felt like ridiculously heavy-handed flirting, but throughout the book as the characters are talking about their attraction to each other it screams insta-love at you more and more, which was a bit disappointing. I would have liked to have seen the relationship come about a little bit more naturally than the really cringy flirting that did bring it about. Other than those two large issues for me, everything else was just kind of niggles. Why are the chaperones on a mission trip so bad at chaperoning? People are sneaking off and getting drunk and sleeping with each other and basically committing crime, like breaking and entering. I don't understand Aki's problem with Mexican food that she's never tried, she just decides she doesn't like it. There are also some really questionable relationship morals, which I didn't really think about as I was reading this, but I think other people have been calling it out for this, where the relationship in this book happens by the suspense of outside life, and one character is effectively on a break with their boyfriend, and it's not great. Like, the more I look back on it, the more it kind of makes me go, so yeah, definitely some niggles that I'm really interested to hear other people's opinions on, because I don't think I'm the most informed on this and I would like to learn from other people. But overall I thought this was a really cute female-female romance novel and I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, that was my review for Our Own Private Universe by Robin Talley. I finally did it, I posted a review. But yeah, let me know down below if you've read this book and what you thought of it, because I would love to hear, and also I am looking for more people's opinions on it. I hope that you're all having an amazing day and I will see you all again very soon. Goodbye!